Hey everyone, I'm Nandini and I'm currently studying at NID Andhra Pradesh. I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience going through the situation test for NIFT and also NID. So, starting with my situation test. So, I did a lot of mock situation tests back at THiNC when I was a student preparing for my entrance there, and over there every day we used to have like a brief and then we used to come up with something. It was a very time crunching activity, and what I learned most over there is like as a personal experience is to get acquainted with as many materials as possible, be it chopsticks, toothpicks, or be it paper, different kinds of paper, glossy paper, be it cardboard, and especially when it comes to joinery, learn how to be used to not using glue, because you never know what you're provided with. You can't depend on Fevicol. And please, if you have a glue gun, just chuck it out the window. It's only going to do you harm if you're going to use that while doing your mock tests. Instead, learn to use joinery methods, how you can cut paper and make joinery and it'll actually stay. Learn all kinds of joineries, and for NIFT also, like, learn a little bit of basic sewing. For my situation test back at NIFT, they asked me to make a trophy. Okay, so it was basically a trophy for a sailor group or something like that. So I ended up making a mini ship, and in that, the sails, I sewed them together. So I knew for a fact that I got a lot of points because of the kind of variety of techniques that I used while coming up with my model. It's not just keeping things together, it's composition, it's color, it's, you have to think about, like, for me, I was in a corner, like my placement was in a corner. So when the judges came, I knew that they will not see the main thing first. So I even thought of how the judges will come and placed it in such a way that even like seeing it for the first time is an experience of itself. So like when the judges came first, they saw this one part, and then they saw the sun, and then the sails, and then the whole thing. So just make sure that whatever you do, you orchestrate it so that it's not just a model, it's an experience, and it's also a portfolio of your skills. Like even for my NID situation test, they asked me to create footwear for a sandy environment like a beach. So you had to think of the user, you had to think of who is going to wear it. It's going to be some person who is going to run around in the beach, play volleyball maybe. It has to be light and the sand shouldn't get inside. Even you could get wet, you could be dry, and still it should be comfortable. Things like that. And yes, always, always, always learn how to do joinery without glue, because that is the best advice I can give for situation tests. As a NIFT aspirant, I would say just don't get scared, because it could be intimidating. I know even for NID or NIFT, there's a thing about seats and all of that. But trust me, no matter how many seats they say, even if one day somebody comes up to you and they're like, oh, there's only 5 seats in this institute, you could just be like, that's okay, because I only need 1 seat, and that is the bottom line. And as long as you do the maximum and do justice to yourself, it doesn't matter what happens at the end, because at the end, you know that you are at this level and you will get in. So these two are actually very similar, because I prepared for both of them at the same route, but also the approach in which they ask questions are a little different. Like, you can perform well in both, but then the thing about NIFT is it's more of like how fast you respond to something, and like it's all about spontaneity. And in NID, of course, spontaneity is there, but it's very time crunching, so you have to learn how to take on the pressure. And also, like, you have to make sure that just because you're under pressure doesn't mean that you can't think analytically. Do you understand? So it's like both of these tests, you can't just wake up one day and do it. You need to have a lot of mocks, and you need to be very familiar with the kind of surrounding you're in, the kind of setting you're in. You have to be very familiar with the pressure. Only then you can think creatively and do it. So just read for all the exams. Read a lot, general knowledge, build it up. Read a lot of watch a lot of videos on joinery, you know, how people work with PU foam and everything. And also yeah, just read a lot, do a lot of hands-on things. If you see a new material, like even like a mask that's lying around, you know, just analyze it, just see what materials are in it, how is it flexible, and what all things can you do to manipulate it in terms of form, in terms of texture, in terms of color, in terms of transparency. Just analyze everything around you and it will be fine. Okay, all the best, guys.